the history of the church, written about the year 55 AD, about 25 years after the resurrection. It's very early, in which Paul describes all the appearances of Jesus after he rose from the dead. He goes through a whole list. He says, first he appeared to Peter, then he appeared to James, then he appeared to the 12, then he appeared to 500 people in Jerusalem at the same time, then he appeared to me, one who was the last and the least of all the apostles, and unworthy to see him, he also appeared to me. So we don't need the Gospel of Mark to tell us that the resurrection occurred. We already have an earlier account in the first letter to the Corinthians, in which there Paul describes so many appearances of Jesus in the days of the resurrection. Okay, so that's taking care of that. The other objection is that the body was stolen. The body was stolen by the disciples. The theory is the disciples went into the tomb, took the body out, buried it somewhere else, then they went around saying, Jesus was raised from the dead. Now, how can that be? Why? How on earth could these disciples actually go to the tomb when already it was said in Matthew's Gospel that the Jews were expecting the disciples to go to the tomb, steal the body, and then claim that Jesus rose from the dead. So what do? They put guards outside the tomb. Now, these guards were well trained. They were well paid. Indeed, the Sadducees, who were the high priests, did not believe in the resurrection of the dead at all. So for them, who controlled the police force in Jerusalem, it would be inconceivable to send out there some guy who's going to go out and be a guard at the tomb of Jesus, who's going to fall asleep because his head is on the line. We're talking about big boys now who go out, stand outside the tomb, they're paid very well, they don't want anything to go wrong here. We don't want the disciples to come and steal the body. We're going to guard this place really well. And then you tell me that John and Peter, what? They crawl through the legs of the guards? Hey, excuse me, yeah, what do you want? Could you look that way for a moment? I think I see a UFO. Oh, quick, now they're looking at the UFO. Let's take the body out. Oh, yeah, sure. And I'm Santa Claus. No comments, please. But there is a fatal objection even greater than that. Let me tell you what it is. Can we go to the next one? You know that the early Christians worshipped Jesus, and we worship Jesus. If somebody would tell us that they found a bit of cloth from the robe of Jesus, or if somebody said, oh, here is the sacred handkerchief, okay, well, we've got to preserve this. This is from Jesus. Or they say, Jesus touched this. Yes. Or Orthodox Stavros, the Holy Cross. You know, Mount Athos is a bit of the Holy Cross. There's a bit of the Holy Cross in Jerusalem. If you go and worship, a bit of the cross is there. We Christians, we're into relics, big time. Okay? So, if the body of Jesus was actually hidden away by the disciples, it would actually be in their interest eventually, after 20 years, after 30 years, to say, oh, by the way, here is a bit of the hand of Jesus. He rose from the dead, but he left us his hand or something, you know? And that would be wonderful. That would convince a lot of people. But in fact, at no time ever do we find any relic of anything on the body of Jesus. Not even a hair, not even a nail. Everything else we have found. The body of John the Baptist, the St. Stephen, the early martyrs, we took their bodies, we buried them. But Jesus, forget it. Nothing was left behind. So that alone should be convincing. But there's even a greater argument against the idea that the disciples stole the body of Jesus and then declared it to be the risen Lord. To begin with, if the body was stolen, they knew about it. Okay, let's say we're the disciples. We steal the body, and we say, let's declare that Jesus rose from the dead. Now, you and I know it's a lie. We know it's a lie, because we did it. Now, the Romans come along later and say, do you believe in Jesus? Oh, yes. Okay? I'm going to put a sword in your head and I'm going to put it through your brains, mate, if you say that you believe in Jesus. Okay, let me think about it. I want to talk to my friends here. Now, you and I know that we stole the body. You and I know that this body didn't rise from the dead. I've got a sword in my head that's going to kill me if I say I believe in Jesus. Do you think for a moment that these people who stole the body would go ahead and die for a lie? People lie not to die. Nobody lies to die. There is another argument that is made about these various objections. They say Jesus did not die, and that in the tomb he resuscitated because of the freshness of the ground and so forth, and that he came out and declared himself to be the master of life. Let me tell you, if you just been crucified, you've been beaten around very heavily, you can hardly walk, you've got nails through your hands, you're bleeding, you come out, and you tell me you're the master of life, I'm not going to believe you. In order for these disciples to be convinced that Jesus is the master and risen Lord, he has to come out and show himself as powerful and more powerful than ever. A wounded man who can hardly walk cannot move a stone that two men can't budge, let alone convince them that he has risen from the dead. So we can dismiss that fairly satisfactorily. So now we come to the final question. How do we explain the empty tomb? I mean, we've looked at all the objections, or some of the major objections anyway, that the world has given us. These are the reasons why the world out there does not believe in God. These are the sophisticated reasons, quote unquote, that the world has turned away from Jesus and believes they come from monkeys, or believes that there is no God, and believes all those things that the world believes, and they do not believe in Jesus. That's why our children don't believe in Jesus. And it's why. These are the reasons why. Are they worthy? No way. Each one of them is ridiculous. Each one of them doesn't stand up. So how then, an intelligent person, how would you explain the empty tomb? Let me tell you. Let me show you something here. Listen to this. This is what it says here. This is Paul that wrote this. He says, Jesus appeared to more than 500 people, F-apax, at the same time, the Greek word, at the same time in Jerusalem. And 500 people saw him. Then he writes, this is a letter to the Corinthians, and he says to the Corinthians, they live in Corinth, he's writing about Jerusalem, and he says, these people live in Jerusalem. Most of them are still alive. Though he says some have died, I know that, but most of them are still alive. What is he doing there? A very great professor, in fact, His Eminence the Archbishop is coming next week to the Gold Coast. One of his teachers in Germany, a guy called von Kampenhausen, a very great historian, writes and says about this. This is the greatest evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. Why? Well, if Paul was telling a lie, right, he wouldn't say, Jesus appeared to 500 people at the same time in Jerusalem, and most of them are still alive. He'd say, Jesus appeared to the disciples in Jerusalem, 500 of them, but they all died. Why have they all died? Because I don't want nobody from Corinth going down to Jerusalem to check the story out. Because if somebody goes from Corinth to Jerusalem, grabs a boat and goes to Jerusalem and says, excuse me, where are the 500 people who saw Jesus? Are they all dead? No way. But what does Paul say? Listen to this, is very important. Listen to what he says. This is absolutely one of the greatest piece of evidence that Jesus wrote. See, I'm appealing to your logic now to show that Jesus did rise. Not only your faith, but your logic. Listen to this. Paul is saying 500 people saw Jesus rise from the dead appearing. 500 people saw him. All alive. Most of them are still alive. What's he saying there? He's saying, come on down and check it out in Jerusalem. He's making a historical assertion. He's absolutely convinced and he knows that 500 people saw Jesus. He can't be lying. He can't be alive. He's making an appeal to 500 witnesses. It will stand in any court of law. Jesus rose from the dead. Paul claims 500 people. And not only, it's not a claim, it's a fact. Why? Because he says they're still alive. All these objections fall on their heads. They are empty gongs without any heart whatsoever. Conclusion. Next. Conclusion. Out of everything that we have said, the most logical conclusion about the empty tomb, based on faith, of course, but also based on logic, is this. The empty tomb means that Jesus of Nazareth rose from the dead physically and ascended into heaven. But before that, he appeared to a series of people, indeed to 500 people who were still alive at the time of Paul, and Paul is inviting the Corinthians to go down and listen to the story of the 500, because if it was a lie, Paul couldn't afford to say that. It would destroy his message. Therefore, the message is true. Christos anesti et nekron, thanato thanaton patisas, kentis entis mimasi, zoin charsanos. Amen. Okay, Father Dimitri, we're on. Sound like John Lennon or something. What we thought is because it's 9, instead of having a question time sort of publicly here, okay, because the group over next door is waiting for us for the coffee and the cake thing, okay, that maybe it'd be better if we all move over there, and that way people can go on. Can I say something? Can we have, say, 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes here, and then we'll move over. Alright. And then we'll go over there, and so if you've got any questions you want to ask Brother Themi, you can find him over there, just on the terrace of the Greek Community Centre next door, because we're running late, so maybe 10 minutes of questions. Paul, you may do that one more than you did last time. Now you have to stand up and talk really loudly. Go. Where's Mark? Excuse me while we have some technical problems here. Actually, where are you, mate? Okay, you want to come in the front? Would you like that? Or do you want to come and ask the question here? Yes. Yeah, come on. Just where's Mark? Father, that's 10 minutes gone already. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Father, it's okay. Can you explain to us, because I always have that always have that question which is a lot of times say, and we believe that Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days. Why then, although we bury Jesus on Friday, Saturday, and Saturday night we go to church and we say Christ is risen? Is it wrong? Why is it wrong? Why, according to the Gospel, it's early on Sunday morning. Why we have to rush to resurrect Jesus at 11:30? Well, or sometimes we do the proto-Anastasi Saturday. Yeah. This is a bit confusing to us. Alright? I can understand what you're saying. The thing is, though, that definitely the liturgy does not start, or the Orthodox does not start. 12 o'clock is when we start the Orthodox, right, Father? And then we are finished. You see, the people leave. The people actually, as soon as we say Christos Anesti, they leave. Whereas the church has encouraged them to stay on. And unfortunately, most of the people, they're and we're going to remember the village. I understand that, but if you chronologically, if you check the time, say from midday Friday to Saturday, it's only 1.5 days, say 2 days. No, it's not, but it's 3 days. That's why. No, you've got to calculate it from the Jewish time. The Jewish time, not Greek time. That's more confusing than before now. No, it's not. No, it's not. As long as we proclaim risen from the dead on Sunday, doesn't matter what time on Sunday, we are okay. Well, we don't let Sunday arrive. We start just 10 minutes before midnight. Well, but when do we have the liturgy? Don't you think we should have it on air or something? I tell you to. You write a letter to the Archbishop. I should. And then I write a letter to the Patriarch of Constantinople and tell them that we should start at 12 o'clock. Okay? After 12 o'clock. After 12 o'clock. Another question is, like on Thursday, Holy Thursday, we carry around and say, Synon Cremati Visidu. It didn't happen on Thursday, did it? No, it didn't happen. Why? This is confusion to the young generation. I believe that. I believe what's according to the Gospel. Yeah, so why the church tried to tell us something that did not happen that day on the Holy Friday? No, it follows everything that happened on the Thursday, and then it adds that as a hymn, as an anticipatory hymn. But in fact, if you come on Friday, you will find all the services follow the movement. At 9 o'clock in the morning with the Epitaphio, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with the Prosaic. But the Epitaphio should go on night time because Jesus was crucified at midday. We go now at 3 o'clock.
Can I interrupt you because I think we're losing our 10 minutes.
But also, listen, I'm talking from the Bible, okay? And my point here is to discuss what the Bible says. So that question is not really relevant, because I'm just talking what the Bible says. Η Αγία Γραφή, πώς μας το εξηγεί. Τώρα, αν είναι γραμμένη κάποιος είπε αυτό και αυτό δεν μας κάνει τίποτα. Τι λέει η Αγία Γραφή, αγαπητέ, εκεί στεκόμαστε. Καταλαβαίνω, αλλά we disturb a bit. I don't understand anyone, man.
Κάτσε ένα μισό λεπτό. Κάποιος κάνει άλλο.
Δεν είναι τώρα.
At the end of the day, Thursday night is Friday by Jewish time anyway.
That's right.
Okay, the day begins biblically with the setting of the sun,
at
not the rising of the sun.
6 o'clock, it's already the next day.
That's right. Okay, so that's how that works.
Yeah, but listen, I don't want this guy to be upset, you know?
No, that's right. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Oh.
And please, no violence.
It reminds me of something.
We're going to end up in the brawl here, I'm telling you.
Sorry. He made a good point, though. I can understand what he's meaning. He's meaning, like, is it really necessary? Like, days and times, etc. It
Well, it's not as
And it's really not relevant.
but that's right. But the thing is, hey, we actually celebrate a whole week of the Passion of Christ. I don't see any problem with that. That's beautiful. You know, that's beautiful. So they sing about the crucifixion on Thursday. All right. What's the problem?
What I want to say regarding what the gentleman was asking, firstly, on Thursday night, Holy Thursday night, we celebrate the Matins, which is the morning service of the next day,
That's right.
which is Friday.
That's right.
Εκείνα που λέει η Εκκλησία μας, η Πέμπτη βράδυ, are the events that took place on the Friday.
Because Friday...
The resurrection is proclaimed on...
Listen, Friday begins 6 o'clock Thursday.
That's Friday, yes.
Jewish
And
time.
that's my next.
Yeah.
Well, the resurrection is proclaimed on the first day of the week, which the pagan people call Sunday, which we call Kyriaki, the Lord's Day, which is the first day of the week. Η πρώτη, Δευτέρα, Τρίτη, and so on, right?
Yeah.
Now this spends 3 days, and that is why,
That's right.
in order that the prophecy is fulfilled, the 3 days from Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday.
That's right.
That fulfills the prophecy.
That's right. Now listen,
In
mate.
any way, if there is any problem in regards to... Sorry.
Yeah, but listen, I don't want to talk about the liturgical side of it.
No, that's why I'm explaining to this gentleman why he is confused about why...
Listen, I told you, we use Jewish time, not Greek time. He's talking Greek time, I'm talking Jewish time. If you use Jewish time, there's no problem. You see, that's the point. Okay, no questions about what we sing on Thursday or Monday morning. I'm here talking about the Bible. Okay?
Brother Themi, I'd like to know what you just discussed here about problems about the hypotheses these biblical scholars are bringing up.
Right.
Is wrong. Now, if I can put it to you, they are biblical scholars and so are you. Why is it that the minute someone comes up and says something against the church, they become enemy of the church? I mean, is there a problem that someone can ask these questions?
Right. No, there's nothing wrong with asking those questions, but if those questions, you're free to do so, you're free to say, you know, somebody stole the body, you're free to say that, but I'm also free to say you're wrong, you see? So that's fine. Not a problem.
Actually, somebody asked me a question before to you. During the talk, you were talking about the time of sleep and the people who died who were asleep waiting the second coming of Christ. What sense do you make from a biblical point of view of the thief on the cross when Jesus says to him,
This day.
yes, this day you will be with me in paradise? Can you explain that to us?
There are many ways of explaining that. The concept of day, yom, this day, could be at this age to come. What is a day in Jewish thought? We say imera. We say αυτές είναι οι τελευταίες ημέρες. These are the last days. And what do we mean by days? We mean years and years and years. So it depends how you use the term day. Also, it depends how you interpret that saying. It could also say, I tell you this day, I tell you today, that from now on, you will be in paradise with me. In other words, when I reach paradise, you will be in paradise. But I'm telling you this today. This. So it doesn't mean today you're going to be with me in paradise, because Jesus did not go to paradise today. But he's saying, today I tell you this, you shall be with me in paradise.
I think we should go next door. Before somebody gets killed or something. Look, before you stand up, I just want to thank Father Themi for coming. You know, in Sydney, Father Themi travels by taxi a lot, you see, so doesn't drive. And it reminded me of a joke of a guy who died and went to heaven, you see. St. Peter, when he got to the gates, gave him this golden staff and these silk robes. This taxi driver thought, wow, gee, wasn't expecting that. Then this monk died and went just behind the taxi driver, you see. The poor monk got this wooden stick and his ripped shirt to go in with it. He got a little bit upset. He goes, hang on, what's going on here? He goes, I've given you guys a whole life. This guy just drove a taxi. He didn't preach the word. He gave me a stick and a ripped shirt. It's not fair. He says to me, listen, Father, we had to look at the results up here, okay? We're not worried about the means. This is the results, right? All we know is when you preach, people were sleeping. When he drove, people were praying. But I think that all of us tonight give you the golden staff of approval. Thank you. Just a reminder, those booklets are available if anybody wants to take more of them to give out to their friends or their relatives. You can pick them up on the way out. Now next door, if we go to the terrace of the Greek one, you've got to listen to me, okay? Because there's a logical system here. You go to the terrace along the end to the left in the bistro area, and you walk up to the bar, and there you get a cappuccino and a piece of cake for a $5 special, okay? Then you go and you sit outside and you eat it, you find Brother Themi, and you can have a chat with him and ask any further questions, okay? So if you want to partake in that, we go out to the terrace of the Greek one. Thanks.